Evening, everyone, and welcome to The Next Revolution. There is a theme for tonight's show, and it is accountability. There's a lot going on and a lot going wrong, but the media is doing a hopeless job of holding the right people accountable. We see it in the coverage of the Ukraine war as the one-year anniversary approaches. More on that later in the show. But we also see it, and this is where we start tonight, with the appalling government-created environmental catastrophe in East Palestine, Ohio, one of the worst American chemical spills in years. How did this happen? Was it avoidable? Who should be held accountable? I know, Pete Buttigieg. Of course, he inspires literally zero confidence that he has any kind of grip on our transportation system. In this case, after waiting over a week to say anything at all, his main contribution seems to have been to tell us nothing to see here because there are 1,000 train derailments a year. Is that meant to reassure us? Why are there 1,000 train derailments a year? Is that good or terrible? How many involve toxic chemicals? Don't ask me, says McKinsey Pete. I'm just the transportation secretary. Speaking of train derailments, what's going on with this train company, Norfolk Southern? On top of East Palestine, they've had 3 other derailments just in the past few months, including, astoundingly, another one this Thursday in Michigan. To add insult to injury in East Palestine, after poisoning the entire area, they pull out of a town hall with the local community because they're worried about their employees' safety. And then the CEO, Alan Shaw, paid $4.5 million a year, declares he'll be reimbursing the residents affected by the derailment. But when you do the math on the reimbursement fund they set up, it worked out at around $200 a person. So now they say they're going to offer $1,000 inconvenience checks. Inconvenience checks? Is Norfolk Southern secretly being run by Bernie Sanders and AOC in a bid to discredit capitalism once and for all? At the other end of the scale, seems as if the government agencies blundering around in this story, they're being secretly run by a bunch of crazed libertarians in a bid to discredit government bureaucracy once and for all. Yes, it's the EPA taking a break from climate authoritarianism to engage in some patronizing elitism with a dash of incompetence and incoherence. The head of the federal EPA, Michael Regan, told people that if he was there, he'd stay in his home, drink the water and give it to his children, except he didn't actually do any of that and got the hell out of there as quickly as possible, leaving the head of the Ohio State EPA, Ann Vogel, to admit that the contamination had actually made its way to the Ohio River. But it's okay because, she's pretty confident that contaminants aren't getting into customers' water. Yeah, pretty confident. I mean, that's good enough, no? Give it to your kids, peasants. You could be pretty confident they won't get cancer. And don't worry, there's no problem with the air either. I mean, the people of East Palestine are surely not going to believe their lying lungs and streaming eyes and the rashes they're getting and the disgusting toxic fumes they can smell all day when they have the EPA telling them their own air monitoring has, quote, not detected any levels of health concern in the community attributable to the train derailment. Okay, so, first of all, it's not about the train derailment, it's about the insane poisonous mushroom cloud they created afterwards. But in any case, who's going to believe a word they say when they refuse to publish the actual results of their tests? You know what's so deeply fishy about all this? The attitude, the mindset, this bizarre insistence that everything's fine. Think about the usual attitude we get from bureaucrats in government and big business all the time nowadays. The endless, ridiculous health and safety precautions, the risk aversion, the maddening, pompous announcements for your own safety, out of an abundance of caution. Abundance of caution? Where's the bloody caution now? Suddenly, in this one case, they've all turned into demented danger fiends. Go on, drink the water, breathe the air, don't worry about the dead fish, ignore the lifeless chickens and floating frogs. Just bury your face in that good Ohio dirt. Now, gloriously enriched by vinyl chloride, ethylene glycol monobutyl ether, butyl acylate, ethyl hexyl acrylate, isobutylene and phosgene. Honestly, in any other situation, I don't know, if you run a restaurant and there's the tiniest thing wrong with your extractor hood, they'll shut you down. In California, they won't let you drive your car unless you pay for a smog check. But now they're super chill about chemicals burning in an open ditch and a massive toxic mushroom cloud. And all this after years of being told we had to walk around with masks on in a futile attempt to block virus particles in the air that for the majority of people were almost completely harmless. And that brings us to the man who really needs to face accountability for this fiasco. The man who, in the pandemic, kept children out of school, even though they were barely at risk, but is now pushing them into a place where the risks are massive and obvious to anyone with the slightest common sense. Yes, the governor of Ohio, Mike DeWine. This happened in his state to his people. But instead of standing up for them, this bumbling Mr. Magoo has passively gone along with whatever he's been told. From the start, he's been absolutely hopeless. Here he was on NPR about the decision to release the chemicals and set fire to them in the open air.
And the final decision was, to evacuate people in the area. We had to make sure we had the right modeling down, and we think we did. That took place.
Yeah, we noticed that took place, but also notice how he fails to take responsibility. One local news article says DeWine ordered Norfolk Southern to conduct the controlled release of the hazardous chemicals, but then another says he just approved the operation. So who was in charge? The elected governor or the very much unelected railroad company? Here's a little clue for you, or more precisely, around 40,000 of them. In the last 5 years, Norfolk Southern, through its direct corporate donations and hilariously named Good Government Fund, gave Mike DeWine over $40,000. In fact, the CEO, Mr. Inconvenience Payments, Alan Shaw, because, he's so into good government, gave the Norfolk Southern Good Government Fund, which gave to DeWine, over $14,000 in 1 year. And would you believe it, Alan Shaw's wife is also really into good government, and she gave Mike DeWine, the Good Government Fund, $10,000 in 2 separate donations. So now it's a little easier to understand why Mike DeWine, when his donor, the train company, told him what to do, just said sure. Even though a hazardous waste expert told Fox News that in his nearly 4 decades of experience, he's never even seen anything like it.
I've never once in 39 years ever heard of them blowing up train cars, dumping all the chemicals into a trench and lighting them on fire. When you lit this stuff on fire, you were creating phosgenes, you were creating hydrogen chlorides.
Did DeWine demand a second opinion? Did he order an adequate evacuation? Did he order sufficient precautions to control the burn? Looks pretty uncontrolled to me. Can what they did really be best practice? Why didn't they take the contaminated soil away? Instead of leading on all this, Mike DeWine is acting like some bystander. He's supposed to be a participant, not a commentator. At every stage, he's been pushed around instead of standing up, while admitting he doesn't even know what he's talking about.
The giant column of doomsday-looking smoke that went up after the quote-unquote controlled release and burn, are we just supposed to believe that that just disappeared? That went up into the atmosphere and just went away?
What we're trying to do is be very, very careful, follow what the science is. I don't know what the science is in regard to that.
But what he does know is that local residents reporting nausea, dizziness, headaches and other ailments are basically making it up. It's actually just colds and flu, said Mike DeWine's office. Imagine how he'd have reacted if you'd have said that during the pandemic. After his performance on that, he should never have been re-elected. But now, after his disgraceful performance on this, he should resign or be impeached. We reached out to Mike DeWine's office and asked him to come on tonight to explain himself, but they respectfully declined and directed us to a press release. What a joke. Tell us what you think about Mike DeWine on the new free Twitter at NextRevFNC and at Steve Hilton X.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.